This is the Horse Radio Network.
Hey, you're listening to Adulting with Horses, the best place to be if you can't be at the barn. We are your co-hosts and equine authors, Heather Wallace and Natalie Keller-Reinert. As crazy horse girls, we don't take ourselves too seriously in the saddle or out. We celebrate the things that make us different. Join us as we talk about horses and pop culture and get a little weird in a fun way. Thank you for being a little weird with us. So, that's right. So what time is a good time for you with the hot weather?
So, I'm hoping, I have this dream that I can start waking up at a decent hour, like, I don't know, 7:30. And sometimes it happens, like I did 2 days ago. I got up at 7:30. I got some writing done. I went out and rode, took a shower, did some other stuff. And the day was so long, by 5 o'clock, I was ready to just die. Like, and I still had to go to Ocala and have dinner with someone. I was exhausted.
Too much.
It was too much. Getting up at 7 wrecked me. But, like, in the summer, a lot of times there's nothing to do in the afternoon because it's storming. So I can take a nap. So there's that. But, like, then I have a night like last night where I literally sleep for an hour. I'm awake for 2. Asleep for an hour. Awake for 2. So I didn't get up till 9:30. So it's just a challenge. But I definitely need to move my day forward with the summer temperatures upon us.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I think I have the opposite, actually. So, because the kids get up and go to school so early, like Zoe's doing extra help, so she's got to be there by 7:15. So that means I have to be up and, like, you know, I don't want to say dressed, but quasi presentable, just in case of a car accident, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And so in the summer, when they don't have school, I might sleep until like 8 a.m. It's like decadent. Like,
I used to think 8 a.m. was like the perfect time to get up. Like, it felt like a compromise between sleeping ridiculously late and getting up hideously early. It's like, oh, 8 o'clock. What a gentle time. But damn, some nights I'm up almost all night and I don't know why. And that was last night.
It's called hormones.
In bed. It must be.
No, it is.
No,
It
I
is
believe you.
hormones. Because I have had the same thing. And I guess, I don't know if it's good or bad, because I've been trying all these different herbs and I've seen a functional medicine doctor and I'm like trying all these things. But because of I had a big eruption and hives all over my face and hands like a month ago. This happens sometimes when like my hormone levels spike or whatever. I started taking Benadryl at night so I wouldn't wake myself up itching.
Oh, yeah.
And so now I've been sleeping beautifully because I've been taking Benadryl.
That's
obviously not like
too.
It's not like a long-term goal, but it's helping.
Man, I actually looked for some a couple weeks ago. I couldn't sleep and I got up and I looked for Benadryl and then I was like, oh, that's right. It was 3 years out of date and I threw it away finally. So, aren't I just, I don't know, responsible. I'm a responsible mom who occasionally cleans out the medicine cabinet, I guess, but does not replenish it.
Well, I mean, it's good that you're not like pill popping, I guess.
Yeah, no, I haven't taken an allergy pill this morning. I take like a Claritin in the morning and it makes me so freaking high because I don't really eat breakfast.
Does it really? I've never noticed a difference when I take Claritin or Zyrtec or anything like that.
Hit me so hard. I don't know if it's because of the amount of coffee I consume in the morning, but any kind of stimulant hits me like hard, like crazy.
See, I can't take a sedative or I'm legit passed out. I think it's because I'm always running on fumes.
Yeah.
So, like, if I take a sedative, my body's like, we've been telling you to sleep, so you're just going to sleep wherever you are right now. Sit down.
I don't think I've tried to take a sedative in, like, I can't even remember the last time. It would be decades. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Because I don't sleep, but I also will not take sleeping pills. I'm like afraid of them.
No, I don't. Oh God, I can't even imagine me. I can imagine me on an Ambien. I already sleepwalk. Did I tell you this? I told you this when I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm overtired, I might sleepwalk.
Right.
And no one needs to see me on Ambien because I'd probably be like down the street and thinking like I was an alien or something. I don't know. Like,
and sleep eating is a total thing too. You know, talk about they're like, oh, the weight gain is hormonal. No, it's the Ambien. Like the trail of bones in my kitchen.
Your cat probably loves that though. He's like, I'll clean up after mom.
He's outside chasing butterflies.
Of course he is. He's the cutest. Well, he's going to come yelling at you in a minute because he knows we're talking. So
I left the door open a crack so he can come in.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's all that comes in.
Well, because the front door is open too, so he can go in and out of the front yard. So, but the yard's fenced. So far we've
I know, but I'm just thinking about, like you said, it's spider season. Like, what if he's not the only thing that comes in?
Well, I mean, there's not a lot going on with we know we've had kind of a gentle bug spring so far. Like the caterpillar season was not as bad as last year's, so that's a plus. And the spiders haven't really revved up yet. So
sorry, I just vomited in my mouth.
It hasn't been too bad. I don't know why. I'm happy about it though. I've only seen like half a dozen of the really prickly caterpillars that'll like give you a rash. And there's these other ones. I don't know what they are. I think they're for gypsy moths or something. And they say they're not that bad in Florida, so leave them alone and the birds will eat them. So I'm like, okay, whatever, do whatever you want. And I haven't mowed my front yard because it turns out everything in my front yard does like pollinator heaven. And so my yard is crazy overgrown, but has all these tiny blooms in it, and they're butterflies all over the place. It's like magical. And
until Glasgow gets them.
They, butterflies are smart. He's only gotten a couple, and now they avoid him. They see him coming. I was pretty mad at him, though. He was killing giant swallowtails. I was like, you are evil. But he seriously only got like 2 or 3. But now there's these whatever the plants with tiny little blooms, and I see the caterpillars just on them, just like long things in the yard. It's really weird looking. So I've got this like whole diversity thing happening.
I mean, in theory, that sounds nice, but like all I'm hearing is there's bugs everywhere, and I'm just really glad I came to see you in February.
Yeah, it's a lot more overgrown. It looks really wild out there right now, but it's exciting. Like,
well, Jason and I were talking. I told you, I think, that Jason wanted me to murder him. Again, I'll never get away with it because I'm telling everyone I'm going to murder him.
Right.
But he has decided that the Vermont house is too far from society, which is like obviously the goal. So annoyed.
Oh.
Yeah. So he is telling me, like, after doing all this research and all this planning and like, I've got this whole paddock paradise, like whole setup, and I've started to like make it happen and planning things. And he's like, well, we could do some minor things on the property, but I think we, when we're up here, we should probably get a little bit closer to town. And all I'm thinking in my brain is like bashing him over the head, dragging his body into the woods, and being like, oh, my husband left me. Oh, that's too bad. Or like forcing a divorce where like I take the Vermont house because it's the one I could afford. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That makes
and then
sense.
like, yeah. So, I mean, that's probably like the more legal option, but
no, it sounds almost
yet.
like, I know I've just been reading about kinks just for fun, but it feels like maybe he's got a little kink where he does.
I think he likes me mad at him.
Yeah. He must have done that. I mean, like, that's just, what did he think was going to happen?
Like, I literally looked at him and I couldn't speak because I knew if I spoke, it would not end well for either of us. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, that's the point, motherfucker. Like, I don't want to be near people. I want to have to go into town once a week for groceries. I don't want to see people when I'm, like, retired and I want to write and I want to be, like, a crazy wood lady. Like, that's the point.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to fight him pretty hard on that one
Yeah.
because I've been following all the paddock paradise sites, and there's all these people touting about how like the wooded areas are actually so much better for the paddock paradise. It's like the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I've got that. Like, I've already got it. All I have to do is fence it in and then, take away some of the small stuff, but like done.
Yeah, definitely for like the obstacles, like the enrichment stuff.
Yeah.
You've already, half your job is done. You make them wind through some weird wooded areas. There's some logs down that they have to work to get through.
I don't even have to throw anything down. It's already there. I just had to clear out that excess debris, but all I'll need is a dry lot and a run-in shed, and then like the horses can come.
Yeah.
So
that's how I did it, right? Like I didn't even put up a shed right away. I just put up some fence. So dump him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. If it's during the summer, just stick up a fence, you know what I mean? And they could be fine outside. It's not like it's terrible weather in Vermont in the summer. Even if it rains, my God, they're not going to melt.
No,
there's
mine
trees.
run out in the rain.
They could go out in the trees.
Yeah, mine are like, oh, the lightning was scary. Let's go stand over here in the rain. Like, no, go back in the shed. No, the shed is where the lightning is. No, that's not it.
It's not how it works, boys. Well, that's okay. We'll teach them to horse. It just takes some time. They gotta figure it out. But before we get started on today's topic, I have like no good adulting wins this week.
Well,
I have such bad stuff happening.
God.
I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, so I'm just going to get it out of the way now. March has been such a frustrating month for me because I felt like I was making so much progress riding and spending time with the horses in like January, February. And then like I've only been on a horse once in March, like for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And what?
Is it because of schedule stuff or is it weather related as well? Because March is kind of cruel up north.
March has been cruel. I mean, we have these beautiful 65-degree days and my horses are, have hair. So that's been fun. The shedding season is here. But no, so both horses are kind of not currently rideable right now. Delight's the easy one. He's just feeling feisty and he's been kind of feral. So he's decided that like, no, he doesn't want to be pushed. And so he's been throwing bucks under saddle like ridiculously.
Oh.
So I'm not riding him. My trainer is schooling him now. Again, that's just temporary. We've been able to figure out physical reasons. We even had the animal communicator out.
Oh, well, that's
yes.
fun.
And hashtag my horse has a crush on me. So that's a good thing.
That's a dream.
That's a dream. But Ferris, I don't think we mentioned it, but he got diagnosed with Cushing's.
Right.
A couple weeks ago. And we put him on a medication. Medication seems to be fine. I haven't noticed a big difference. So we might have to increase it, but it flared his Lyme's disease.
Of course. Everything does, right? Like Lyme is...
Yeah, it's so sensitive.
It's bad, right.
So I'm now having to treat him for Lyme. He had to have time off because he blew an abscess in his heel, which was a surprise. He's never had any abscesses. And so he has just been completely like unrideable. All I can do is like de-shed him. He's like miserable. And I am just beyond upset at like, he's only 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like really depressed about it.
Oh. Gosh. That does feel like March is like when I was, when I messaged you and I was like, I have so much going on. I'm so excited. I love spring. Blah. I also have to recognize that it's really not, you're not there yet. You have another month. And then in another month, you're not going to be in the doldrums anymore. It's not going to be like, oh, this up and down and everything's wrong and it's dark and blah. It's all going to get so much better because spring. I believe that. I believe in the renewal of spring. Like George Costanza.
I do too.
All that crap.
So Natalie, our friend Wendy Murdoch?
Oh, yeah. She does lots of instruction things.
Yeah, she's got loads of webinars. I think there's like over 300 of them on her website. She's actually coming out with a brand new course called The Whole Rider. Have you heard of it?
The whole rider. That sounds very holistic, if you don't mind my making a little pun.
But
But I think I have heard about this because she sort of brings together lots of principles and to make sure people understand how their body moves and how they interact with their horse. So this whole rider program is supposed to really bring together like harmony in the saddle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of learning new possibilities of movement. And the cool thing about it is there's unmounted exercises as well. So I'm super excited because I just found out she's launching it in May.
That is so close. I can't even believe May is almost here. It's a really good time to, we were just talking in a recent conversation about May and April being like our reset periods, right? Where we start all of our new programs for the summer. Kind of good timing.
I think it's perfect. Well, if you're interested, you should go sign up at thewholerider.com. She's got a landing page where she can let everybody know when the course is live. And I definitely want to be on that list.
Oh, for sure. I want to check that out and not be late. The Whole Rider. Sounds great.
Yeah.
So spring, renewal, all that crap.
Spring renewal. I'm excited for spring. I'm excited for new beginnings. I do feel like do you ever deal with this? Like, do you feel like when you focus, balance is an interesting thing, right? So if I focus a lot on work and, I have to schedule time in for the barn, right? But if things are going really well at work, I find that sometimes I don't have as much time for the barn, or there's less time for the kids. Like something has to give. And it's a little depressing because mostly it feels like my time with the horses is what gives the most.
Right. I think it's one of those to everything there is a season kind of situations, but in this case the season isn't spring. It's measured in slightly longer segments of time, like years. But like I didn't have time obviously to do much with horses while Calvin was at home and, I was going to work and things like that. But even now I still am like, how is my horse outside and I'm not able to find an hour to go out and work with him? And I find that days where I really do focus really hard on one thing and then focus really hard on a second thing, both of those things go really well. But when I try to add a third thing, everything kind of collapses or doesn't feel as good. Hi, and
It's like a game of Jenga.
Yeah. I always say I need to get 3 things done every day, and I can only ever do 2.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, right? You can do work and you can do kids. You can do kids and you can do horses. You could do work and horses.
I know. And then at what time, like I find I burn out. Like I get so exhausted from running 100 miles a minute that I get burnt out. Like case in point, I this week for work, I scheduled it really late because I worked 10 days in a row with no break. And I mean worked. Like I think over 2 days I worked on 36 dogs at this dog show. So I was just exhausted mentally and physically, and like the last thing I want to do is get off the couch, much less go to the barn. Right. Even if I'm recharged, it seems like more work sometimes.
If those are the anomalies, that's when it gets really important to like choose how you schedule yourself and not overcommit, which is my favorite thing to do.
Guilty.
Yeah, so like April, for example, I have I'm going to be out of town a total of like 9 days. And I still have been looking at stuff that's happening on weekends. Like, well, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that without recognizing that I need recovery time from those 9 days that I'm out of town. So that takes away a couple more days. So now I'm looking at like 2 weeks basically of the month where I'm probably not riding and I'm probably not messing with the horse. And that's how I committed my time. So I have to live my April that way. Ow, that cat just bit me really hard.
I knew he'd come in and get all into this.
What's wrong with you? He looks away.
Unusually, I would assume you're talking to me when you say what's wrong with me. But maybe your April is going to be like my March.
My April is going to be a zoo.
Yeah, because March was a zoo. And like, I mean, there was a week so my kid was in theater, so she had to play like 4 days. And then my other kid was in the St. Patrick's Day parade in New York. So she had all the practices for that. And like, I can't even, I think they even rode once. And we're supposed to have lessons twice a week. I think they rode once the whole month, and I rode 5 minutes the whole month. Because even my lessons are supposed to be with Delight, but Delight's been so persnickety. I think like he needs to be in actual training because I back off of him, and I don't push him the way a trainer would because I want to be the nice guy, but also because I'm timid.
Oh, that's funny.
So I bring in the professionals for that. But yeah, so I have a lesson tonight. I'm really hoping it doesn't get canceled. And I told my trainer, I said, okay, here's my plan. Let's do a twofer. Like you get on Delight and school him, and I'll get on Ferris and see how he's feeling.
Oh my God.
And then like we'll just kind of like, because we used to ride together sometimes. We're friends too. So I'm paying her to train my horse, but also getting to ride with her. But I'm not going to do a lot because, Ferris isn't feeling good. So I just want to see, today is his last day of medication, if we need to keep going on it or if we can back off. So this is kind of how I'm scheduling my day.
Paid fun time, right?
I mean, really.
You might as well. And that's the thing. Like, you've been pushing yourself really hard professionally. So shouldn't your hobby be fun?
Yes. And that's my goal. That's my goal for my horses always, is to have fun.
Right.
But I think I need to set more of a goal or I'm not going to actually ride. My goal needs to be, I can take Delight on a hunter pace this fall.
Right.
Or, he can be shown in like the Hopeful Hunters or something by his trainer just to get him back in the ring. Like a goal to get him fit, because he's kind of been the backside of the everything. He's not taken the front of the house kind of. So
we talked about that not so long ago, right? Where I said I was struggling with not having goals, and the sort of the purpose of it all, if you don't have a goal, is really sort of nebulous. Like for me, having the purpose of having fun just isn't strong enough to get me out of the house on a hot day, or get me away from my computer when I have a lot of things I feel like I need to do. And so goal setting has been like huge for me over the past couple of weeks. And it has changed so much about riding for me literally just in a couple of weeks' time, to the point where I'm not riding today because I have other commitments, but I will ride tomorrow and I will ride Saturday. And then in a 7-day week, I will have ridden 5 days.
Wow.
Huge, right? Because I've been struggling for ages to get past 3. And I realized I really didn't have any direction. That was my big thing. It wasn't that I didn't want to ride. It was that I was having a hard time pulling together like a why I was riding, like what I was working towards. Mm-hmm. And I don't have, the luxury of just going out and hacking in the forest or something. Like I need to work or else I'm just walking in circles. And so I went to some events with my mom a couple weeks ago. And we talked about, my mom was a great horse show mom and a great event mom. And she kind of gave me a little ass kicking speech. And she said, you need to be eventing and you need to be working and part of the sport, and that's really important to you and it's really important to your career. And she's like, you need to subscribe to that app you were talking about that has all the riding lessons on it, and you need to do them. And I was like, okay. My mom said I have to do it.
Smackdown.
She really did. And so I did, because my mom told me I had to.
You're a good girl, Natalie.
I want to make my mom happy. So I did. I actually signed up for Ride IQ, which is this riding lesson app. And I have done several lessons with it, and I am already working so much harder.
So what is it, like an audio lesson?
Yeah.
That it is kind of goes through your earbuds and it's a trainer talking to you?
Exactly. So there are like dozens and dozens and dozens of lessons. When you go in, there's flat work and there's dressage and there's jumping. And so I've actually just been doing like some of the warm-ups and some of the green horse lessons that are mostly at walk and trot. And like yesterday, 2 days ago, I did a lesson with, I think it was with John Hallane. And these are people that I used to know like 20 years ago when I was an event rider. I worked with these people, or I helped them in their barns and things like that. So to take lessons with them off my phone, just to like, it's somebody I know, even though they would have no idea who I was now. But it was
That's
a lesson.
so modern of you.
I know. So I just, I just slipped my phone in my pocket and I turned the volume up all the way. And I listened to one about, it was about lengthening and shortening the trot on a 20-meter circle as a way to finesse a green horse into really good half halts eventually. And it was so hard.
I find 20-meter circles hard because I have a neurological horse. So that makes it more
where I
involved.
ride, right? Like I have to sort of guesswork where I can create a path that will approximate a 20-meter circle. And I hit branches a few times. Like I have to be really precise.
You should get those dressage numbers you could put in the ground, or like cones that you can mark off kind of where you're at. So it gives you a visual.
Right. Yeah, I have to do a little more clearing too, because right now it's like I have to follow this line between this palmetto and this beautyberry bush. And if I don't hit it just right, he'll run over the beautyberry bush.
It's like you're doing a trail obstacle course and a riding lesson at the same time.
It's exactly like that. So that might be one reason why it's really hard. And I have to work with changes in elevation. Obviously, he's going to be working a lot harder if he's on a slope, that kind of thing. But it was listening to the coach. It was like he was in the ring. It was like I was taking a group riding lesson or even a private riding lesson. And I was being told, drop your knees, drop your heels, slow your post, slower, slow. And I'm going slower. I'm going slower.
That sounds okay. You've sold me. I mean, I'm super interested. How much does something like this cost?
It is $30 a month, I think.
Oh, that's expensive. I mean,
I
it's
thought
less
it
expensive
was-
than a riding lesson, though.
Exactly. Like it's expensive, and it probably took me more than 6 months from when I sort of like signed up for their newsletters, kind of waiting for a promo that I didn't get. As you know me, I love clearance.
You bought this without it going on sale?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it took me 6 months at least.
Hey. That's marketing for you, though. Sometimes that's what happens, right?
Well, because I knew it was what I needed. And again, $30 for, essentially you could take 30 riding lessons on one horse or many more if you had many more horses. Whereas, riding lessons cost an arm and a leg these days, as well they should, whatever. But it does have a 2-week trial also. So you can kind of decide, before you pay I actually think I paid the 6 month, I think I paid for half a year. I'm not sure now.
Well, that's probably, I have this tendency of no follow through. So I feel like I would probably start it and I'd be like, this is amazing. And then I'd get busy and I'd forget I had it.
Well, and here's the thing though. It has lots of 15-minute sessions.
Ooh.
Right? Like this walk trot thing or the trotting, lengthening and shortening. It was 15 minutes.
That's doable.
I got a lot out of it, and I can do it once a week, and it's hard work. And then the other thing I did a warm-up lesson, like walk, trot, canter warm-up, and I got a lot out of it that I'm using in all of my warm-ups now, where I have a more, it sort of brings back, oh, that's right, I want the back to swing, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. It sort of just takes me back to when I used to be riding with a coach regularly, and help sort of unlock all of that mental stuff for me. So I've gotten a lot of value for the month just out of those 2 lessons. I've gotten easily $30 worth of value because I can use that warm up every day that I ride, and I can use that trotting exercise once a week, really without being told how to do it again.
Wow.
So
that sounds
what
really
I'll learn
interesting.
Tomorrow. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's got a lot for me. I recognize a lot of the names on it, and that makes it really worthwhile to me. There's a lot of events riders that I know or I have known, people that I really trust. we talk a lot about conditioning work and positive reinforcement and like,
Oh, they do?
yeah, because Sinead Halpin and her husband Tick Maynard are part of this as well. And
Okay.
they're very big into positive reinforcement. So there's groundwork lessons. I was going to do one yesterday, and then I just decided to garden all afternoon
Oh,
for reasons.
that's great because I was actually talking to my trainer yesterday that that she was just at a horse show, a local horse show for, I'm not going to name names, but this barn is kind of known for being like a very much a assembly line equestrian.
Sure.
Like it's like they set you up, they get you walk, trot, cantering, and then before you're even like riding a year, and before you even know what your stuff is. So she was talking about how they were lunging horses and they were just making them run, like chasing them,
Oh my
like,
God.
and like, what's the point of that? Because you're not getting anything out of it, and you're just making your horse anxious. So
Yep.
groundwork lessons, I think, are huge.
There are a ton of groundwork lessons on here. Even like here's prep for trailer loading. Here's lunging 101, ground driving games, spooky horse brain warm up. That sounds fun.
These actually sound really, really interesting. God damn, we need them to come on as a sponsor.
Well, it turns out I met I met one of the trainers that's a part of it when I was at Majestic Oaks Horse Trials last weekend, and it's like there's just a ton of people participating in it. It's really cool. So
All right, I'm
sure
going
that
to check it out.
somebody could chit chat with us about it, or give a better explanation of what their sort of goals are and what they were trying to do with it. It's got podcasts on it. It's got so much in this app. It's incredible. Like it could be a full replacement. You know how sometimes you're like, I need to replace Facebook on my phone or whatever. Like this could fully replace it with just stuff to look at and
Well, because I've been
listen
looking
to.
for, so like, I've been looking for some dressage kind of tests or whatever to do step by step. And this sounds like that kind of would have a little bit of everything.
Oh, it definitely does.
Because
It
I
has
get
a whole
bored.
category for dressage tests.
Yeah. Well, because I get, I do really well when I have a goal. Like I get bored if I'm just like, do walking around or trotting or whatnot. I get my ADHD kicks in, and I know my horses get arena sour very easily. So this sounds like it would be something that we could really change things up and get them kind of, not anticipating our next move.
Yep.
And is there any like grid pull stuff in there? Because
Probably. Like I just pulled up ride-alongs for dressage tests where it'll literally coach you through a dressage test. Let's see. Groundwork, sports psychology, rider fitness, jumping, jumping lessons, jumping warm-ups, jumping skills, jumping full rides, rails, green horse coursework, poles for stride accuracy. That's a good one
cool.
with Leslie Law.
I don't know any of these names. Sorry. But that's okay.
Big names.
Well,
Let's
I
just say
assume they're big.
names.
You can tell my priorities are not. I'm not like one of those, like
I honestly,
I don't know all the big riders.
I pay very little attention to competition these days, but I know some of these names pretty well. So yeah, I think you should give it a try.
I think I might. Maybe I'll do a trial. I just gotta make sure my horses are fit first.
Right? Yeah. Don't do
know?
it before you're not riding regularly, or you're like, my trial ran out.
Well, so I will say, coming up, my kids have spring break, and I've convinced them to spend half of it at home so I can play at the barn, and then the other half will go to Vermont and we can relax there. So I'm hoping to kind of reset and get, set it and forget it.
I think spring break is such a good time to say, all right, this is the real New Year's, right? Like I'm putting winter behind me, setting new intentions. This is what, like the days are longer. Summer is coming, which changes your schedule as a mom, changes my schedule as a mom because Calvin will be home.
Yeah.
It kind of changes everything, right? Like those long days. everybody wants to fit everything into them or sleep all day, and you have to choose. What's it going to be? What's your summer going to be?
I'm not looking forward to, I mean, my kids are older now, but like, you know, I definitely have to adjust my work schedule for them. And so I make less money in summer than I do winter. And, you know, it all kind of has to balance out. But I was going through a process where you'd be proud of me, Natalie. You'd be very proud of me, actually. So when we were at this event over the last weekend working, they were so happy they invited us to literally 8 more events.
Oh my God, 8.
And I was said, you know what? Give me the information and I will let you know.
Yeah.
And we are going through and we're seeing like what we can do timing wise, what we're willing to do, and what's just not on the table for this year. And so I'm really thinking ahead to like, okay, don't overcommit yourself, Heather. So that event in October we were talking about doing, I actually ended up having to, I said yes, and then I said, you know what, work's gotten crazy. Something has to give. This is a want to, not a need to.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I took 3 or 4 days, I think, to think that over before I was on yes, and then I gave it a few days, and then I just sort of verbally spilled to my husband, like, here are all my concerns, and he said, right, those are all the right concerns, and that's what came out of my mouth was just concerns. So
yeah, so your gut's telling you. Well, and that's the thing, I think we have to do it like a want to and a need to, right? And then we can kind of prioritize, and that for me, if I focus on prioritizing my time because it is limited and precious, then and for me, horses are a priority, but I need to actually put that into action, right?
Right.
Because financially, I have to afford them, but I also want to deserve them and give them the attention they need. And so that's something that I really have to focus on. So that's my intention. That's my goal for this spring for the rest of the year, is to make time in my schedule to balance the horses.
Absolutely. That's a good one. It sounds simple.
It's so not simple.
But it's not simple, and there's lots of moving parts. So what you do is you give yourself a lot of space to say, how this week am I going to balance time in with my horses, instead of being precise and saying, I vow that I shall ride 35 minutes 4 times a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you give yourself that space to make it happen the way that every week is going to unfold differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got to be flexible. And you know what I find helpful? And I don't know if this is helpful for you, but so I have a calendar where if I put it in my work calendar, like I set aside 2 hours and I'll say barn time, like open barn time. So whatever we're doing that day. But then I make sure that I don't fill that with clients.
Right.
Right. Because if clients see I have an open slot, they're like, oh, I can get an appointment. So I really have to have it in my work schedule. It's like, no, this is instead of taking lunch, like, this is what I'm doing today.
Yeah. So I kind of I'll do a calendar, but then I'll get scared of it and not open it. Like, I do this thing where, like, I'll be like, I will organize everything. Like, I have this weird procrastination thing, but it's linked to something else where I get freaked out by stuff. I can't explain it exactly. I need a lot of therapy around it. Where I'll be like, I can't open that app. I can't, because if I open the app, I'll see the stuff. And if I see the stuff, it can get me.
That's how I am with email. I literally won't open my email for like 3 days because I'm afraid of what'll be in there.
Yeah. I have emails like that where I know they exist. And I just like, I can't look at that. Then it will know I am here.
Plausible deniability.
It's a great way to turn stuff down too, because you're like, oh, did you email me 3 months ago and I didn't reply? I'm so sorry. Yeah, I just get really scared of contents of things. So I almost like, I was thinking of buying a horsey like planner and putting my rides in it.
You mean like mine?
Maybe I was kind of waiting until Equine Fair to see what was on the shelf. Yeah, something for riding. So I can be like, know what I'm doing throughout the week. Because if I put it on my phone, I tend to just not look at it. It's weird.
What I do, so I mean, I created my part-time planner for me, and then I was like, other people might like this.
So what I should do is publish
Yeah, you should. So why
I
are you trying to compete
probably
with me?
should.
I'm just kidding.
No, because mine be specifically for riding.
Yours be very different. And I think that's the cool thing because everybody's looking for something different. And so
Yeah.
what works for me doesn't work for you. And so what I'll do is I'll leave it in the tack box. And so like before I get the horses, I'll kind of flip through and see what we did the last couple times. And then I'll kind of go from there. And at the end of my time with them, I'll put in the notes so I remember what we did when I
Yeah.
come back.
That makes more sense than spending $25 on a moleskin just because it's kind of a purple color I like. God, moleskin notebooks have gotten expensive.
Everything has gotten expensive, Natalie.
I'm so glad I don't write longhand in moleskins anymore because I used to write all my books in reporter style moleskins, like the ones that flip up.
Sure.
And then I would flip it over and I would write on the other side. And I've got tons of those. But
That's
damn,
cool.
the price. Like those reporter notebooks are a solid $30 now.
Yeah, that's expensive. And for me, I tend to lose that. Like I lose those.
Oh.
So I've got like one in my car, one in my backpack, one in my office, one in the trunk. You know, like I just end up having them everywhere because again, ADHD, I'm very disorganized with certain things.
Right.
So like I'll start one notebook and then I'll end up in another and then I'll be like, wait, where did the other one go? This doesn't make sense. And I'll get confused.
Yeah, confusion is a problem.
Yeah. But I mean, that's just also the way my brain works. So I figure like, and there's some days that I don't write in the planner. But, there's days that I literally just don't have a fuck to give about anything. And I just literally want to go and deshed my horse and cry in a stall, you know? And that's just, and I'm not going to write that down because I don't want to remember that. Okay.
You don't want to go all emo like people used to on their Facebook pages. Be like,
oh, the cry for attention.
Heather is depressed today. That's your
no,
Facebook
I'm good.
status.
My favorite is like the selfie looking out and like looking out with a thinking gaze and being like, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but something really traumatic is going on. And it's like, come on, people. Right?
I know a grown-ass woman in her 40s who vague books as hard as any one of us did at like
at like 15.
In her 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she still does it to this day. She vague books so hard. People and it's always kind of looks like maybe her house is burned down or like she's crashed, you know, her car, you know, like something horrible has happened. Like there's always this implication there, like this inference that the worst possible thing has happened. And then she never, ever says what happened. And there'll be like millions of comments saying, oh my God, what's wrong? I'm like, do you just really like freaking people out? Do you really like it when people
want
ask?
the attention? That's what I think it is. Because I have people that do that too. And it's like a cry for help.
You could get just as much attention by telling people what the hell you're upset about.
Oh, no, but we can't do that because it's private. Okay, then don't splash your shit all over Facebook, man. Like that pisses me off, too.
No, it's awful.
You know, like, I mean, I actually... I would like to consider myself a pretty empathetic person, but like I don't comment on that because that literally looks like they're like begging for attention. And I'm like, I don't want to feed that.
Yeah. That's a bad, like you don't get rewarded for that. I don't either. I don't post either.
I don't post that shit. Like I'll post if I had a hard ride or I'm having a tough day, but I'm like specific about this is what's going on. And like, I'm really struggling with this. Like, I'm not like, you're almost like dropping some kind of carrot and then just being like, nope, can't have it. Nope, can't have it. Nope.
I feel like when you do it in a, like an empathetic manner that draws people in to say how they have similar experiences.
Yes.
That's what I get from your tone. And that's how
Yes.
people respond as they go, oh, I feel like that a lot too. And that builds community, right? Like that you feel better when there are other people in your shoes.
Yes, it's relatable.
Exactly.
And it's not in a woe is me type way. Like, because I don't try to be a negative person. I think I'm a pretty glasses half full, but like I struggle. Like like we were talking about earlier, like I'm having a real tough March and and I'm moving into like a new time of year, but like I'm struggling with everything that's going on and balancing things and feeling, you know, scared for my horse's health or all this stuff. And like that's okay because it's going to get better. I know it's going to get better and we're doing everything we can. But like, if you just say, oh my God, guys, hammer dropped, something really bad happened with my horse, I'm really afraid for him. And then you leave it at that, that builds like tension and stress in other people. And that's not really fair.
You're right. See, I only post relentlessly like yay me stuff. I regard social media as a place for me to be the star of my own show, and that show is an awards program, and everyone
crowd cheers
is
here.
applauding for me as I walk up the steps of the Met in my gown, and they're like, "Oh my God, Natalie," and I'm like, "I know."
But if you can't cheer yourself on, then who will, right?
Yeah.
Except for Corey, because of course he's like number one.
Oh, I like to. He's an amazing cheerleader. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
I really like. There's a memories function, right? Or like
I
a
love
time hop
memories.
or whatever. And I don't need to look back at my memories from 3 years ago and it be like, I had the worst day today. No, I want to look back at my memories and it's like, today rocked. I got a book out and I don't know, I had a huge ice cream sundae, and I like to look at that ice cream sundae and be like, oh, that was so good. That ice cream made me happy in ways that no other food group can make me happy. Do you know what? I think I need ice cream. Like,
you're making me hungry right now. I was like, didn't I just see you posting about wanting a Dove bar yesterday or like the day before?
I had it. Yeah, I was. And you know what? The whole story was that the day was not going great. It was actually turning out to be a big disappointment. I was very hot and very grouchy, and I was trying really hard not to be. I was just like, I'm just going to turn this around. And so I got a Dove bar because I thought,
that'll
at the
do it.
very least, at least I'm having an ice cream out of this. And I think the day did get better after I had that ice cream bar. It did, because then I went to a bookstore and I bought a bunch of books.
Ooh,
and then I went and got a deep dish pizza. So the Dove bar was the turning point. And so that is what gets billing for me to look at in years to come.
I think that's awesome. And it's also too, like, in a way, we can make this a little bit more meta and say, like, don't focus on the tough times, focus on the turning points or when things ended up changing for the better.
That's a cool idea in general, because I didn't really think about it again, because it's a day that happened in my past, right? So I just moved right on. But now I can look at it and be like, what turned my day around? Where did it change? The ice cream.
But was it the actual ice cream, or was it the decision that you were going to say, you know what, I deserve an ice cream?
Right.
Was that the turning point?
Yeah, it was the determination.
Correct.
And making the right decision. Like, I am not going to be grumpy about this. And I was honest with Corey. I was like, Corey, I feel really grouchy and I don't want to. I'm working really hard not to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get an ice cream. And he was like, okay. I just wanted to be clear.
But I think that's good. I think that's great. You're actually like, I'm lactose intolerant. I still want ice cream now after talking to you. So,
hey,
because we do need to treat ourselves.
Yeah.
You need to pick me up every once in a while. And that was your pick me up.
Oh, can I tell you a food story? Okay.
Always.
So,
am I going to need to go get tacos after this?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay.
So I had dinner in Ocala the other night, and I went to this Mexican restaurant called El Toreo, which
oh my
Ocala
God, I nailed
know.
it with the tacos. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing about El Toreo is it's been there for 20 or 30 years, and we used to go there a ton back when we were little babies that lived in Ocala and galloped racehorses and stuff. And so we went there for the first time in years and years and years and years. And I ordered tacos al pastor, which, for those who don't have lots of taco variety in their hometowns, is like a pineapple and pork filling in a corn shell tortilla. So it has, it has cilantro. And if you can't eat cilantro, I'm very sorry. And it has onions and some tomato and just perfection. And I bit into that taco and I had a ratatouille moment. Not that the rat was making the tacos. But when the little boy when the chef eats the ratatouille and he turns back into a little boy when he takes that bite, because it takes him back to his mother's kitchen.
Yeah.
It happened to me, but I didn't go back to being a child because I'd never heard of tacos al pastor when I was a child. It took me back to when I was an exercise rider and I was working at a training stable in Ocala, and we would get off our horses, and the taco lady would show up in her van, and we would buy tacos out of the back of her van and eat them in the barn aisle. It tasted exactly the same.
Wow.
I was like, whoa. I bit into it, and I was that girl again.
You were transported.
I was. It was crazy. I'm not sure any piece of food has ever done it so like intensely and completely as that taco did.
How powerful is that?
Yeah, I kind of wondered if the ladies that working in the kitchen at El Toreo.
Well, but that's a Yelp review right there. Like, you got to go and be like, your taco was life changing because it brought me back to like happy times. Like, that is such an amazing compliment to the chef, but also so unique for you.
Yeah, it's the taste of Ocala. What can I say?
Wow.
Like, it was powerful stuff. It really was.
How did I know we were going to talk about tacos? I don't know.
I don't know.
Am I psychic?
I don't think we did last time.
It's amazing. God damn it. Now I need Mexican food. But we don't have a lot of really good. We have a lot of like South American. We have a couple of Mexican, but there are a lot of Tex-Mex. So there is one place that has like Oaxacan food.
Oh, I love Oaxacan.
Oh, the cheese.
Yes. We used to go to this place. Oh my God. I think it was in Harlem. And this was like 100 years ago. So it was, not the Harlem of today, but the Harlem of 100 years ago. And we would go way up on the train, and then we would walk blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks to go to this hole in the wall place with the best cheese. Like, we're like, do you want to have a Oaxacan? And we're like, I don't know. Do you have 4 hours? Like, I don't know.
Let's do it.
So good. Yeah, we have such good Mexican food in Florida. I've said it before, and I'll say it a million times more because I repeat myself a lot. We have such good Mexican food in Florida.
That sounds really, really good. I think that's like really cool how food has such an importance for you, and for a lot of people. I think that, but it's just to step back into that time and have that memory without use of social media. Well, how magical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. Like all those sensations, they'll do it for you. You just have to seek out those places.
Well, the taste of cinnamon sugar always brings me back to my childhood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like toast?
Well, like when I was a kid, Taco Bell, this is years ago, so I lived on the West Coast. No, but before they had the cinnamon twists, which are like plasticky, they used to have these, like, they would fry the flour tortillas and then put cinnamon sugar on them. And I forgot, they were like a sopapilla. What are they called? Like a sopapilla. And so when I was a kid, my mom started making those. So every time we had like a bakery event at the school or like a party where we'd bring dessert, my mom would make sopapillas.
Oh, how funny.
I know. We're not Mexican or Spanish in any way, shape, or form, but we just loved it. And so then when I got older, I would make sopapillas for Jason and his Cuban family and, all this stuff. And so every once in a while, I don't make them much anymore because I've got a lot of kids and that would be a lot of time at the fryer. But every time I taste cinnamon sugar, I like have happy memories.
Oh, wow.
So, but just like a general glowing feeling, not like, a single moment in time, but just happier times.
I like that.
Innocent times.
Yeah.
I might have to make them.
I never thought about making them.
They're super easy.
I had one in the fridge. My mom always orders them when we get takeout, but she never eats them. She always forgets about them.
Super easy to make.
So
you could add honey.
Yeah, I think it had honey on it. We stuck it under some ice cream and ate it up. It was delicious. Yeah.
It's so incredibly easy to make. If anyone's interested, I can add in the recipe in the Clubhouse. It's literally like making toast, but so it's possible, it's just a little messier because I don't have a deep fryer, so I use the skillet.
Yeah,
and so it takes some time. But oh my God, you're making me so hungry right now. Hey, Weird Horse Girls, Heather here. Wanted to let you know about something very exciting. Natalie and I are rolling out a Patreon page for our listeners. That's right. So this won't be the same old content that's on all the players. Oh no. What we're going to be doing is offering 3 major things to you. 1, Patreon members will be able to ask us questions and we're going to answer them on the air. We're also going to be doing a monthly bitch session where we're going to be talking about a topic. completely unfiltered and full of opinions. And 3, any bonus episodes that we publish will be given to you exclusively early before it's launched on major players. So join our Patreon, and can't wait to see what you guys think. Well, to be fair, food does make me happy. That's why I'm curvy. But also, like, I started off talking and, like, we haven't talked in a couple days, and I was kind of like down in the dumps about everything going on with the horses and being busy. And now I'm happy, and like, food is magic.
It really is. I love food so much. I really do.
I do too. There's a lot of things I'm not supposed to eat, and I'm not the worst. Like, I don't eat very unhealthy like I used to, but I am an emotional eater. Hashtag it's true. So yeah, that sounds really, really good right now, actually. My adulting win of the week will be I might go make sopapillas.
Oh, I love that. My adulting win of the week would be that, honestly, yesterday I kind of managed my day, and it could have gone one way and it went another, because I wrote almost 8,000 words on this book.
Damn, girl.
I know. But it was like, it was too much. Like, it was like sort of the final third, and it's a romance. So that's where like big pronouncements and questions are taking place, And so it was really emotional. And I stopped at about 2 p.m. To have some lunch. And I told Corey later, like, I felt like I had a cold, but I didn't have any, actual physical symptoms. Just like my head felt so congested. Like I'd been, like, I had too much pressure in my brain. It's really hard to explain. I felt bizarre.
Well, is this the spicy one that you were talking about the other day?
Oh, that was the spiciest part. Like, I don't write sex scenes.
Oh no. I mean, it's clean, but it was like all this kind of
yearning,
tension.
Yeah. I like yearning. I like tension. I just closed.
I do too. The slow burn is, well, because let's be honest, we're married for a long time. We don't really have like, the slow burn is like what's attractive right now.
I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah. Like, the payoff is definitely like highly emotional.
Like, I don't need to know they ended up happily ever after. I'm married. Like, I want to see, like, how they get together. Like, right. I want to see the juicy stuff. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean the bedroom stuff, although there is a time and a place for that too in a book.
Yeah,
but
it's not in mine, because I just don't like writing it. Like, I've tried. I'm like, this doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not doing anything for me. So
I mean, I'm not against doing it. One of the ideas I have for a fiction book coming up might be a little on the spicier side. But again, I've got like 3 books I'm currently working on, so I got to finish those first. But like, the Backdoor Horse is clean, and the whole series will be clean.
It's just, and it's easier to, when you're writing like for an equestrian audience. It's really all ages.
Right.
Like, kids way younger than I ever expected read my books. So it's definitely a selling point to be able to say to a mom who's looking very concerned, like, it's all closed door romance. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, like, I have some of the readers I have are young adults already. Like, Confessions of a Timid Writer is very popular with young adults. So like, I don't want to exclude an audience that might enjoy this because I decided to put in like a sex scene or something. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, that's there's just such a huge variety of people reading these books, because it's such a, small niche. There's so few authors like us who are writing specifically for equestrians that, it just makes more sense to just include everybody. It's no loss. If somebody wants to read, if they read your romance and they're like, oh man, I wish there was more penis in that. Well, then there's so much erotica available. Like, that's no problem.
Go get your penis elsewhere, baby.
I read plenty of erotica, believe me. And, not always intentionally, but then I'm like, oh, that's where this is going. And a lot of times people they'll call it romance, and I'm reading it. I'm like, well, this is pornography, and that's okay.
Just, maybe clear on the keywords there for the audience.
And there's actually, like, one author I really like. I'm gonna call her out because she's not listening to this. But Jen DeLuca, I love. She writes those Ren Fair romances, right?
Oh, nice.
And so her books are so funny because it's like 350 pages of squeaky clean love, and then 10-page page, sex, romp, kitchen counters, bathtubs, floors of the forest. They're going at it. There's anatomy on. I'm like, holy shit, Jen, what are we doing? And then it's like, and then we laced up our bodice and we went and picked daisies and had a cider. I'm like, what? And it doesn't happen again. She just does one no holds barred absolute strip show, and then back to
it's
our
not
regular
it's gratuitous sex scene, not gratuitous book, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
you could always skip through a couple pages and skip the part of.
I kind of do, because it's actually a little out of place. Like, it's a little strange to me because I'm in one place mentally, and I've talked to some friends who feel the same way, where they're like, where did that come from? I'm like, I don't know, she just like lost it for a minute there and went full blown sex. And then back to our, he's an English teacher who loves Shakespeare, and we're having a glass of wine.
Well, that sounds like that's her voice, right? Like, she just kind of does that periodically. Like, all writers kind of tend to have a format.
Yeah.
Or at least like between, in series to series, right? Because like, obviously you can write differently in different series, but like, who is it? I like to read Nora Roberts for my airplane reading, right? And she's got a format. Like,
sure.
She's always got like 3 books in a series. They feature, 3 women or 3 men. And then, there's like a format that she follows through the plot. So you know what you're getting out of Nora Roberts. It's expected, but it's endearing, and, it's always entertaining.
I like that. I think people know what they're going to get with me for the most part. I think sometimes my books they go in a direction that nobody expected, because I tend to say, this is what everyone thinks is going to happen, so why don't I just twist that? But I think people expect that at this point too, where they're like, Natalie's going to write something that's 99% Natalie and then 1%. Oh my God. Because that's what Having Horses is like. Maeve Binchy was always my favorite as a.
Oh, I like her.
Yeah. And she's kind of, you know what a Maeve Binchy book is going to do.
Yeah.
Even when there's a twist, you know what's happening. I like that.
Absolutely. And there's like a safety, and that's how you also build like a readership that wants to read your next book before they even know what it's about.
There's a level of trust there, right?
That's right.
That you're not going to screw me over with this book, right? No, absolutely not.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's important.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. Unlike me, who has like ADHD, I'm like, here's an education book, here's a memoir, here's a travel adventure, here's, but we're working it out, guys. Okay.
You just had a lot. Sometimes you have a lot of stuff to get out.
Well, that's it. And like, again, with my fiction, like as I'm writing it, I'm like, this could really be a series. And so I'm thinking like, oh, how can I do this and then have the same kind of, and so that's kind of what I think will happen. But it's really been interesting. It's been interesting going back and forth between writing the nonfiction, which the deadline is actually soon. We're finishing the drafts now, and then simultaneously working on a fiction book.
Yeah, I had some nonfiction stuff I wanted to write, and I feel challenged in getting it out. I think I have to dictate nonfiction.
Oh, okay.
So I might pick up like one of the really good dictation apps. Everybody still talks about Dragon as being like the best dictation app, because the transcription, the mistakes are what make dictation a pain in the ass. Going, what did I mean here? Why does it say this?
Well, I can't even trust Siri, for the love of God, because like I have all these ideas when I'm driving between clients, and I'll open up like, hey Siri, open up a notes app, and then I'll start talking, and I look at it later. Oh God, she's actually doing it. I'll look at it later. I'm like, I said news, not Jews. What the fuck? You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'll look through it. And I'm like, oh my God, she absolutely hates me, so I can't trust that for shit.
I actually have heard that somehow there was a downgrade, I guess the dictation changes with every iOS. So every time your phone, uploads downloads a new operating system, like update, something on it changes a little bit, and that the new dictation was not as good as the old, which sounds stupid. But
I know, because I mean, you want talk to text, right? Like
because we type all the
driving,
time. Yeah,
it's free. And typing and all that stuff. So, I can't remember my own thoughts, so I like to jot them down. Like I talk into my phone and jot them down, so when I get home, I don't lose the train of thought.
I have that. So that my issue for me is when I'm writing, I'll have thoughts, and Ben doesn't neck rain.
Oh my God! Wait. I remember you telling me. Did you go into a tree?
I come so close to. I don't know what he's thinking. Like, why
Because
does
my
he
mom
go
said to go this way.
Yeah. I'm like trying to talk into my phone, and I'll pull on the rein, and he just lifts his head up and gets fast. And I'm like, no, you should turn. Why don't you turn? He's really hard to ride one-handed, which is weird because my old thoroughbred, he was fully neck rein. I got that horse when he was 5, right off the track, so I don't know where he learned it.
Well, next time I'm down, I'll show you how to teach them to neck rein because both my horses know how to do it.
Yeah, I need it desperately.
Yeah,
for riding
it's easier than you think. But yeah, it's just putting in the foundation that maybe he's just not getting the memo, or maybe asking a different way. But
he's so sensitive.
Pivot, Ben, pivot. Okay.
Oh, but the end of my adulting win.
Oh yeah. Oh, we went off on a tangent on that one.
That was a good one. It was like 15-minute tangent. So so I did this work until 2, and then I had lunch, and then I honestly like couldn't see straight. Like I been underwater all morning, and I had meant to do some groundwork with Ben, but I was tired, and I just had no motivation to do anything. And so I gardened. I went out and I planted seeds, and I built little hills and put seeds in them, and I planned out areas, and I watered, and I cleaned the paddocks. I did all of that stuff for like 4 hours, and I felt so good afterwards. My mental health was fully restored. I had gotten a ton of seeds in the ground. Like, it was just such a satisfying afternoon.
That sounds meditative.
It really was. Because some of it I listened to podcast, and some of it I just worked in silence and listened to birds.
Oh, that sounds
really nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then I got fully tipsy on my front lawn.
Was this when, because we were exchanging texts, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what do you want to talk about? And you're like, I need a cocktail first. And I'm like,
yeah.
And then like not long after, you were texting me. I was like, that's a great idea.
I was talking so much. I never talk. I don't know what Corey must have been like, this bitch will not shut up. Like, I just kept telling him stuff. And I was drinking. And he sits down in the evening, you know, we sit down, have a cocktail. He's doing like, he's really good at Wordle, which is like it's like Wordle times 4 all at once. It's deeply disturbing, and he's super good at it. So he's trying to do that. And I'm just like, oh, did I tell you what happened at the horse trials last week? And he says, yes. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you again real quick.
Yeah. Oh my God, my father-in-law does that all the time, and my husband started to do that, and I'll be like, oh honey, you mean this? That you? Oh, did I tell you? Yeah. Then he keeps going.
I make it really quick. I get the thought out.
Well, yes, I think that's what it is, because it's really hard once it's like on the tip of your tongue. Like, you just gotta say it,
and maybe it'll spark new conversation. Who knows? What could come of it?
I don't know if he agrees. He just wants to quirtle, Natalie.
I know. It just turned my afternoon around in the most fascinating way.
Well, so I have to tell you a fun fact about my husband and I, right? Like, you know, we're 20 years together. So I'm working over the weekend, and I get all these texts, and I'm thinking like, oh, he's going to let me know about the kids. It's all pictures of like the empty basement. Like, he's decided to clean out. And so I'm getting multiple photos.
Oh my God.
Of like empty bins and like piles of garbage. And he's just like peacocking. He's like, look how much I did. And I'm like, oh my God. And then he goes, I was like, this is so romantic. And he goes out. I'm sending him pictures of dogs. Like, we're totally in different wavelengths. And then he goes out to dinner with his friends because they were going to make some like spoof video. They decided to do it together. And he's sending me pictures. And all I get is like a picture of him with like a fake bird in his pocket. And then like his friends wearing this like weird Michael Myers mask. I'm like, is that an LED mask? But he like didn't turn the light on. Like, I'm so confused as to like what's happening. So, like, my husband is sober, okay? And he's been for 9.5 years. And I could get so drunk and still not understand what he's doing. Like, it wouldn't make sense. Like, what are we why is a bird in your pocket?
No context bird photo.
I was like, a bird in the hand. Like, I'd get the bird in the hand, you know, but like in your pocket? Like, I'm confused.
How could you see it? It was poking out.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll send it to you. I'll put it in the pot. I'll put it in the clubhouse and be like, "This is the sexy stuff my husband sends me." So like, the magic is gone, Natalie. I find it in books. Okay.
Oh, you know what I love though? I love when you read something, like you switch off the romance for a while. You're like, wow, I've been reading a lot of romance novels. And so I started reading uh The Lower River, which is a novel by Paul Theroux, which might not be how you pronounce his name, but that's how I've always pronounced it. And he's a travel writer. He's gone all over the world, and he's also written like 40 novels. So next time you want to tease me about how much I write, I shall invite you to look at his also by page. But the book starts with the disillusion of his marriage. And I like when people write about long-term marriages, and they write things like, sort of, it's sort of like a shared journey without a destination, I think is what he said. And I really like that.
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
You're just on this winding road with this person that, all of the artifice is gone. Like you're not hiding too much anymore.
Or anything.
There may be a few things, or maybe you think you're hiding them, but they're actually out in the open.
Right, like the horse I don't own but own.
Yeah.
It's like the worst kept secret
Those
in the world.
bills that you think are secret that aren't. It was like, did Glenn say somebody said like when you're paying with a different card or something, like the husband knows.
Well, it's funny, even with, and not to digress too much off this topic, but when we were out west for Tevis, Jason came out and was hanging out with his friends, so we went to meet them. And the girl goes, oh, so tell me about this horse. And Jason goes, oh, you mean the we own, but she won't admit to openly? And I was like, sure. And I like waved it off, wink, wink. I'm like, yeah. If he doesn't see the bill, he doesn't care. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Makes sense.
It
I
makes
actually
sense.
told a lady that at the horse trials over the weekend. I was looking at the saddle pad. Heather, the saddle pad was so sexy. Heather,
oh my God, tell me,
this
what
is
did
my
it
sexy
feel
saddle pad
like?
voice. It was silky smooth under my fingertips.
Did you touch it lightly and stroke it?
I brushed its underside, soft, feathery.
Did you cup it in your hand?
No, I didn't cup it because it's not the right shape. But it was like a sort of a pale minty teal color.
Ooh, that's your color.
With silver binding, like braid.
Oof.
Oh, it was $58.
Oh.
I was like, no. and the lady, they don't make a lot of sales, on a Saturday afternoon. And the lady's like, oh, well, it's a seasonal color and I won't get any more of them and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I appreciate the saddle pad more than you could ever know. But the only credit card I have in my pocket literally goes directly to my husband's app.
Oh, so he gets a notification.
You would see that so fast.
You'd purchase and then you get ring, ring.
If I had had my PayPal credit card in my pocket, I almost might have done something desperate. But I'll tell you what I did instead is I came home and I opened up my telephone and I found that SmartPack was having a 2-day sale. And I used the promo code and I bought myself a saddle pad in a very similar color. Not quite as perfect, but pretty nice. And an ergonomic bridle.
Oh, you did get it.
I did. I was like, oh.
Which brand?
I got their Harwich brand.
Okay.
Because you can buy it piece by piece. And I didn't need reins. I just bought reins like 2 months ago.
And you didn't want the noseband, right?
Right. So I think I bought, I bought a headstall and I bought the cheek pieces and I bought the noseband because
for venting
and the ergonomic bridle, it seems like the cheek piece attaches in an interesting, it's because it's similar to the Michelin, but it doesn't like tie their mouth shut like the Michelin.
Okay.
But like the cheek pieces seem like they're necessary. I couldn't quite figure it out. I said, you know what? I'll figure it out when I get it. And because I have my old-fashioned Aventine brow band with the brass clinchers, and I have reins already. So I just bought the 3 pieces, and it came out to less than $100.
Oh, my God, score.
I love buying bridal pieces. That's for years. I just had a box full of pieces, and I'd be like, time to Frankenstein
That sounds
bridal.
like my first job as a working student was going through and replacing, like, broken bridles with, like, the correct pieces and oiling them and everything.
I bought a full bridle when I was 16. and I had most of the pieces of the bridle up until about a year ago. And that might be the only full bridle I've ever purchased. Like, I've always just grabbed pieces of things that I need or gotten them at a used tack shop or something.
So I'm gonna showcase real quick how different you and I are. Okay.
Okay.
Just gonna little spotlight that from this week. So last week, my trainer told me that Delight's mane is so long, despite me having just cut it 4 inches. It's so long that his reins are getting stuck in it, right?
Yeah.
So she goes, "Why don't you get the clip-on like rope rein?" Right? And I said, "Oh, yeah, that's no problem. I'm pretty sure I have some of that." So the other day, because it's been a week since I went in yesterday, and I walk in and I have this brand new unopened bag of rope rein, like clip-on rope rein. And she was like, "Oh, did you go buy that?" I said, "Oh, no. You know you have a tag problem when you have 3 of these sitting in your trailer just in case." So
3?
I have 2 more that have not even been opened.
What?
And she goes and she takes it out. You're replacing the reins. She takes it out and she goes, "Oh, it's the extra long one too because he's so long." And I said, "Absolutely. I am so prepared. This is how much of a problem I have." I went into my trailer and I got an unopened thing because I literally, we call it Heather's Tack Shop. People are like, "Oh, do we have so-and-so?" I'm like, "Let me check the trailer."
Oh
and
my God.
you might have brand new. I have like 10 rope halters, multiple lead ropes. I have bridles. I have saddles in there. My God, someone stopped me. Like if I opened up a consignment store on my Animal Bodywork page, I would make so much money. And I really do want to do that because I want to get rid of some of it.
Oh my God.
Because do I really need 3 sets? No. I forget that I buy it. And then
That was hilarious. I buy something
that's-
generally, 3 months after I decide I need it. I start looking for it.
Oh no, I'm on Amazon literally at that moment where someone's like, I was like, "Oh, I really like this thing that so-and-so has." I'm literally buying it before I get in my car. This is why though I'm in debt.
Yeah.
And this year I'm on a spending freeze. I've told myself I'm budgeting and really not spending anything. So there may be, everybody keep an eye out. Heather might be having a tax sale. I promise most things have the tag still on it. Okay. Great rates. Okay. Maybe free shipping depending on where you live. So, yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have anywhere to put my stuff, I guess. I have that one kitchen cabinet that I co-opted to put my extra stuff in.
Natalie, when you come visit me, I'm going to show you just how bad. It's not a hoarding situation, but it's not far from it.
I just realized I have to put my winter blankets somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, get them cleaned first because otherwise that smell, oof.
I think I am just going to pressure wash them.
Just pressure wash them and hang them out to dry.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I guess I'll have to get a bin that locks closed to keep the bugs out.
What I do is I actually will take like a bleach water solution and I wash it. I soak it and I wash it in that, and then I let it. And then I rinse it with the hose, and then I hang it out. And I actually got some really great uses out of that. So
that's a good idea. I have a big trough thing I can put them in and soak them. I like that idea.
Just soak it for a couple hours and then take it out, hose it off, and hang it up.
Oh, perfect. That's what I'll do.
Super easy. So don't, you could spend $80 a blanket, or
I'm not going
to 2 hours.
If I was going to spend $80, I would buy a new blanket.
I know, right?
Because
they're having some great sales right now.
Yeah, and mine don't really get that beat up because I don't use them that much anyway.
Yeah, I think
I can buy a cheap kind of low denier one, and it's okay.
And just for the record, this year, Delight wore his medium weather beata 3 times, and Ferris ripped it. So I bought him a brand new exact replica of it and I put it on him, and I realized I bought the wrong size. So if anyone wants a brand new weather beata for a deal, hit me up.
Oh my God. You
I
should
know,
just
I'm
get
the
in
worst.
the old Kiwi New Zealand rug, like the green canvas one. I love those. I used to have one of those, actually. It's pretty cool.
We're so off on a tangent. We could talk about this all day long. I swear, if I ever lose my mind and open up a tack shop, I'm all set.
Hey, I know how to run a tack shop. I've done it.
Maybe a future business for us, Natalie. Thank you for being a little weird with us, Horse Girl. If you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to our podcast on your player of choice. Follow us on Instagram at Adulting with Horses Podcast, or even better, join our Adulting with Horses Clubhouse on Facebook, where you can become part of the show. Also, it's a great place to meet other horse crazy women.